Hi, thank you for joining me today for the process video, and it is day 28 of 30 Days of Sketches with Christie's Beautiful Life, series 14. And today's sketch, I'll pop in the top left hand corner there, is by Bev Lewis. So you can see it's a series of hexagons, and I decided to do the smaller hexagons. On the sketch they run top right to bottom left, but I'm doing them top left to bottom right because of the way that my photos are, and I'm using this Tim Holtz Stampers Anonymous stencil to create those hexagons. I absolutely love this stencil. So I'm pushing some, what's it called? Oh gosh, the word's gone from me. Texture paste. I don't know why I found that so hard. I'm pushing some texture paste through the stencil, just in those two corners, just to provide a bit of texture, and then I'm going to go over them with some mixed media. Now I'm playing with the brand new Home Cafe collection from Fancy Pants. This was perfect for my photos. It's Amelia and Ross in the kitchen making some brownies, so this is all about home baking, so I thought it would be perfect. So you can see in the sketch that Bev has a little border around her paper, so I've cut my white cardstock down to 11 by 11, and I'm just gutting the inside of this lovely paper to act as my border around the edge, so it will show 1/2 inch of the paper all the way around. And now I'm just having a look at the icons on this paper because they are absolutely perfect for fussy cutting. So I start with this set of kitchen scales, and then when I've done my mixed media and I'm waiting for everything to dry, I will cut some more bits and pieces out. So my photos, the first one is just under 6 by 4. I trimmed it down ever so slightly because there was too much background in it, so it's just under 6 by 4. So this smaller one has also been trimmed down, so it's smaller than 3 by 4. It was actually trimmed down from a 4 by 6 photo originally. So just cutting around to get a thin white border around the two photos, and then I'm going to mat it onto that same paper to provide a darker border around the edge, and it also mirrors that border that I've got around the edge of the entire layout, so that works really nicely for me. Again, just using my scissors. I couldn't be bothered faffing about with a trimmer, and when it's just a thin border like this, using a long blade scissors works the best. So while I'm doing this, I'm just cutting out any icons that I think I might want to use before I mat the photo, and then putting that smaller one on there and cutting that out too. And I will distress the edges of this just so that any imperfections don't show. So you can see these photos are much better that way round rather than having the smaller one on the right hand side of the photo, and that's why I flipped the sketch on this one. So here I am with my Tim Holtz edge distresser, just distressing all of those edges. Like I say, it just hides any imperfections, and I do like the texture that it gives as well. So the texture paste dries ever so quickly, so it's more or less dry now, so I'm bringing that back in just so that I can work out roughly where the photos are going to go and then add my mixed media. Now I start by adding some ATG tape onto this frame, and then quickly realise that's a mistake because I can't move the back around if I just use ATG because it sticks straight away. So I've gone in with some wet glue, and luckily I added the ATG to the top edge, so I've got time to position it at the bottom first before sticking it all down. So now that's on the background, I can work on the rest of it. So I'm just pulling out my hexagon dies. The largest one of these infinity dies is the best one to use for the two hexagons in the top right and bottom left corner. So I'm first of all pulling out this lovely blue paper, and it's got the word bake on it, and that's where the title is suggested to be. So I'm going to use that through my Big Shot and just cut that out. So the word bake is showing at the top, and then I'm going to grab the green paper and add the hexagon at the bottom, the same sized hexagon at the bottom there. And now I've got those two, I can work on my mixed media. So I've pulled out two Shimmers Inklings. The first one is Oaky Bear Blue, and I've just added some water to activate it, and then I'm just smearing that all over the hexagons. I love the look of that. I don't know why I didn't just leave it with some blobs and spraying it with my water, because looking at that when I was editing, I thought, oh, that looked really nice actually. But I decided to smear it all over the hexagons, and the same at the bottom as well. So just adding a little bit more water so that I can drip it over the bottom and then smear that all over. And then I've also got one called Hot Stuff. Again, it's another Inklings, and that pink works really nice with the pinks in the papers. Both of these shimmers work really nicely with these papers. If you want to use the Home Cafe, I would look at those two colours for a good colour match. So just spreading it all out, and once I've got the blue down, as I say, I'll come in with that Hot Stuff So just adding some splatters around, and here I am now with that hot stuff, and I'm just going to splatter this on. I do pool a little bit in the middle of the ink as well, but mainly I'm splattering, and it's lovely because the Oaky Bear Blue does dry fairly quickly, not fully dry, but it means that they don't blend into one another too much, so you don't get a muddy mess. The colour sort of sits on top. So you can see I fussy cut some icons on the right hand side while I was waiting for that to dry, and then just rolled up the excess using some kitchen towel just to sop up the pigment that hadn't soaked in. So this card is still a little bit damp, but it's dry enough that I can keep going with the layout. So first of all, I'm going to distress the edges of my hexagons and get those situated behind the photos. So again, just using that Tim Holtz edge distresser and then using my ATG to get that stuck down. I'm getting used to it now, definitely for bigger pieces. It's very quick and easy. So just distressing the edges of that second piece. And then the same, I use my ATG just to get that stuck down. And just making sure that it's straight and in the position I want it to be relative to that mixed media. And then I'm using the Stix 225mm foam pads just to raise the photos up ever so slightly. They're really nice foam pads. They come on a roll, and I just cut them up and put them in a box, as you can see, for easy storage. So just adding plenty onto this larger photo. I think I tend to use 6 on a 6x4 photo. And just pulling off the backing. You can see it's got an overhang on the backing, so it's really easy to peel off. And just getting that slotted underneath that first photo. So using my T-square just to check that straight, and then I'm going to come in with these icons that I've fussy cut, and I'm going to trail them up along the left-hand side of the 2 photos, and I love the look of this. So yeah, have a look at the Fancy Pants collections. Great for fussy cutting, really nice big icons on this collection. And if you've got any home baking, I would highly recommend it. So now I'm going through an old Heidi Swap sticker book just to add some other bits and pieces from my older stash, which I'm trying to use up with some new bits. So I've added a label there that says date, and it's the right colour green, exactly the right colour green actually, to go with that. And then this one says wake up and be awesome. It was a Saturday morning when they were baking, and Amelia woke up and decided that she wanted to bake. So that sticker works nicely, just adding some foam pads and underneath the overhang so that it sits at the same height as the photo there. And now I'm going to focus on sticking these icons down. So some of them I'm going to raise up onto foam pads, and some of them I'm just going to stick flat. So that jug at the top, the measuring jug, has been stuck onto foam pads, and then the mixer is flat, that ladle is flat. And then adding foam pads again to these scales that are going towards the bottom. And I'm trying to overlap things as well so that they all look cohesive and joined in, and just a muddle of kitchenalia, I suppose it's called, isn't it? Kitchen things. And there's the rolling pin that's just going to hang on top of that weighing scale. And there's a whisk as well on it at the bottom. And the whisker just stuck on top of it. I've not added foam to the ends. Now these are some hexagons that I used, the second smallest and smallest die from that Infinity set, just to cut out of the paper again. The yellow is a different paper in the collection. It's got some lovely hearts and things on the reverse, and the other bits that I'm going to add that are white with colour on are the reverse of that paper. So just getting some of those stuck down. Again, just distressing the edges with my fingernails just so that it matches in with the rest of it, and I like that pop of yellow that it's giving. So this one that I'm just working on now is the reverse of that yellow paper. I think it is. Maybe it's the reverse of the green that I cut the big hexagon from, actually. There are only 6 papers in this collection, but it really is lovely. So there's another one there underneath that milk jug. Now coming in with the gold sticker that says weekend. I just wanted to add that at the bottom next to the date. I'm just sticking that everything's stuck down, and then handwriting my date on that date label. And then I'm going to come in with my journaling. My journaling just reads, Ross helping Amelia with her baking. Today it was mini egg chocolate brownies. So now going through this Simple Stories, Simple Vintage Essentials and pulling out a couple of the word phrases. I love this sticker book. This one says always better together because they really enjoy baking together. The one at the top says believe in yourself because this has been a really important part of Amelia's healing journey to do some baking and other things that bring her joy. And that one says remember this. That's just above the wake up and be awesome, and then be creative. So this is one of our canvas Flair badges that says happy place, and again that blue worked really nicely with the colours in this collection, so I thought that would be a nice addition. And I'm using one of the new 3M glue dots that we're selling at Hey Little Magpie. They're really strong adhesive, they're absolutely brilliant. And then just to finish off, I wanted to bring in some white splatters on that mixed media. I felt it was quite heavy, so I just wanted to lighten it up with some white splatters. So I'm watering down some white gesso and using that to splatter because it gives a more opaque white. If you water down acrylic, sometimes it can just blend into the colours that you're splattering it onto. So with it going onto that mixed media, I felt it was important to use the gesso. And at first I was just going to do it around the mixed media areas, but then decided that I wanted some splatters on the actual icons as well. So just coming back in with those and splatting. You can see I'm getting it all over my hand. I don't know why I didn't grab some paper to shield it. And then this happened. I really wasn't happy with that mixed media behind. I just felt it was too busy. You couldn't see the icons that I'd hand cut, and I gave it a couple of hours. I actually edited all the video, uploaded it to YouTube ready to be published, went on the day it's supposed to be published on the 28th, and then came back and ripped it all off that background and restuck it down onto a fresh piece of white cardstock, which you can see here, and then grabbed that same stencil, and I'm just using a thin liner grey pen to outline the hexagons. One thing that really bugged me was that I'd done the hexagons the wrong way up, so the die cut ones have got the flat edge on the top, and the ones that I'd used the texture paste through had the point at the top, so that was annoying me slightly. But more than anything, it was how vivid those colours were. They matched the papers perfectly, but I just wasn't happy. So I came back in and did this, and I'm so much happier with this. So as I say, just using that same stencil to do those grey outlines, and then I added one more yellow hexagon to the bottom next to the journaling, just to balance that out a bit, and then put exactly the same journaling down using my black fine liner pen. And then finally I'm coming in with this gold paint. It's a slightly paler gold, not quite as in your face as the one that I normally use, and I just choose 4 hexagons at the top and 4 at the bottom to colour in with the gold, and then I add some splatters to finish off. And that's it. So never be afraid to go back to layouts if you're not totally happy, because normally if you're not happy, you'll never be happy. When you look at it in the album, it will always annoy you. So always better to go back and redo, or save what you can and change the bit you don't like. So anyway, that's the layout done. Thank you so much for joining me. Please do check the description box for the playlist down below. And other than that, I shall see you again very soon. Thanks again. Bye.